Hello. Neil's mad at me because I just keep muting him.
He's being oppressed.
Exactly.
All right, so
it's bad when test champions were caused.
Jake, I don't know if you were looking at Discord. So moving on. Another thing too, Jake. Before we hop over to him, technically speaking, if you injure a door to half of its health points or less, you could it makes it a little bit easier to break into it. So if you're thinking of like those iron doors down below, it has
Punch him a bit, beat him up.
It has 60 health points and a hardness of 10. So it means you have to do 11 points of damage to do 1 point of damage to eventually break it down. What weapon do you use? What's your damage with your axe?
I'm not going to break my axe on the dolls.
I was being hopeful, you know.
But aren't we using steel weaponry, which will naturally have a higher hardness? I don't really understand how the hardness works. I know that different materials have hardness.
Yeah, but if you smash a steel axe against an iron, eventually the durability will go down and down and down. So.
Yeah, but it won't just break.
No. Yeah.
Pointlessly.
Yeah. All right, but moving on. So you, Tesh, tried to retreat back to your main city. Now you haven't reached there yet, have you?
No.
Yeah, you haven't, because you met up with your refugees along the way. Because the small group of you were able to move much, much, much quicker than the refugees were able to move.
Yeah.
They were retreating, but it's not like they were running. It's not like they were like, ah! They were like, old and young and cold and making their way to Kurzfall on their little leisurely pace. When you come rushing up, and of course, Kithel sees you coming to him with the other guards and says, I would like, as you approach, it's kind of like one of those Kithel things, and he sees you, and he actually speaks before you, which he very rarely does, and he gives you an expressionless look, and says, I would like to believe this is a victory lap.
No, it's not. We have to move quickly.
Where is the army?
Gone. They disbanded. The small guard has been sworn to take me to Kurzfall at least.
What remains of the attacking force?
How much should we get? Because we did kill a lot, but not enough.
It doesn't equate super easily, but I think you did 11 points of damage to the army, I think.
Out of what?
38.
Oh, okay, so about a third.
But mind you, that doesn't mean you killed that many. That means the army took...
Yeah, no.
Yeah.
We did some damage, but not enough.
We don't exactly have an army waiting for us at Kurzfall.
No, I think we start using the portal room to get people to the Western Keep and get as many through as possible and store as many as we can in the keep itself.
He nods and then says, there is still that creature to the west.
This is something I remember happened while I was away, and I didn't ever get fully details on. What is it?
No, I think you were there.
The undead creature.
Wait, you mean the undead? Fuck. We were fuck. Well,
it's locked away. It's somewhere.
Yeah, we'll have to.
It's also It's also friendly too to the.
Yeah.
Or at least tries to be.
And we told them to feed it. So.
Yeah. That he is fighting the nature that befalls him. He is friendly. And as long as he's fed, he should remain so. Either way, we can make sure that door is shut and locked. And we will deal with that when we come to it.
So we will immediately start transporting all of the people of Kurzfall and Rid to the mountains to the west.
I will. We need scouts to check where the Haude Gwenh army is going. If they are coming for us, then yes.
I have two concerns about this plan. One, we do not truly have the infrastructure to feed all of those people. We can bring supplies, but they will be short-lived. We'll have to rely on hunting, as there is no food stores or farming over there. And two, in the past, you've talked about this place and the encounters that you had there. While they will be within a keep, those that choose to leave the keep could potentially come across the creatures that you had found.
Do you have any other options?
He thinks for a moment, shakes his head and looks down, looks back up and says, "It is important that Kerr's fall doesn't fall. However, for these people, perhaps we can get them to vigil before any other dangers get to them."
Well, we know about the other army going for vigil, right?
I think you do. Kithel does not, because you got that report after Kithel had left.
That's right. There is unfortunately another army making way for vigil.
It seems we are pressed on all fronts.
I have given word to Rayron about my situation and the what happened to Rid. I can only hope that he can make it back in time.
Rayron, he says, chosen of the Quill, fights his own battles, as I imagine chosen of the Blade does as well. We need... God, this voice, because I open my throat so much, I always just say yawn so much. Go ahead, you were saying?
I do not intend to abandon Kerr's fall. I merely wish to secure the keep. We cannot fit everyone inside the keep, but we can move as many through as we can and have the rest seek safety in the keep from the army coming.
We have stemmed the entire flow of all refugees so that others did not have to. Now, while this does not matter to most in the region, because those other towns happen to also be under Haude Gwen's rule, this may have some value to Loshev, our allies. Loshev needs to raise their banner. They need to send soldiers to defend us. I think we speak to our friend and see what it is that Lander? Okay, keep going. Arthur. That Arthur is able to get for us.
If we can get their aid, I agree. Either way, we must get moving. We must reach Kerr's fall as soon as possible to solve any of these issues. Ideally, send word ahead.
He thinks for a minute. You guys ride for probably another half hour or so. And then, because he's slow in thinking. Keep yawning, excuse me. God damn it. All right, so he, like a half hour later on, just kind of like open the conversation back up again to you. He says, perhaps.
Can you bring back the map real quick?
Again, yeah.
On the main menu? Yeah, thank you. Whereabouts are we? Because I have a little bit of an idea.
So 1 second. I'm going to make sure this is visible to everybody. So you guys are traveling between where Rid is, which we should just, delete that army. Boop.
Yep, it's definitely fucking gone. What about this? Why is this one here?
What one? No, that's them. That's their camp. Remember? That's where they camped. So that's where actually that arm is.
Conveniently on the fireplace. Interesting. I could have fun with that.
I
They
have.
took our money and ran. Ah, no, not really.
They did their job. They just lost.
They ran.
Listen, you bought a cheeseburger. If you didn't like the cheeseburger, that's your problem. What do you get? Do you get a refund every time you don't like something you purchase? Is that how it works?
To be fair, this is more like buying a cheeseburger and going, and dropping it. They do typically refund them in that case.
Excuse me, if you drop your cheeseburger, does somebody else owe you a new cheeseburger?
Yeah, the place does. Courtesy.
It's not even that. It's the McDonald's worker or whatever dropping it as they're giving it to you.
Yeah, actually, that's probably
They did not drop the cheeseburger. You were handling the cheeseburger. You did not properly handle the cheeseburger. You did not properly handle the cheeseburger.
It's more
One
like
does
you
not
took one
simply
bite.
handle cheeseburger.
You took one bite and the cheeseburger fell apart.
Yeah, that's it.
Now I want a cheeseburger.
Like someone proper like Thanos snaps your cheeseburger. You're like,
And into dust. Excuse me.
We call that the Incredible Burger or the Impossible Burger. Yeah. This is not real. So anyways,
Anyway.
you are between Rid and Kurzweil. He says,
Okay.
the safety of these citizens, the safety of the citizens of Rid has been my task for months. As before that, the safety of the citizens of Kurzweil. It'll be my honor to maintain that responsibility. I will see over the transportation of these people between this keep and that one. As long as the magics hold, I will continue to transport them and watch after them. However, if we are to find ourselves at the doorstep of an ally, pleading for help, I think the message comes better than from one of the rulers than it does a hapless horseman.
I understand. I would rather not leave our people. But if this can save them.
It would put us in a bit of a debt to Leshev. Better to owe a friend than to fall to an enemy.
like a defensive pact with them.
Yeah.
You guys did sign such a thing, right?
Yeah.
They weren't going to send soldiers. They weren't going to send soldiers. Oh, I don't know if you were here for that, Tash. I think you were, because I think there was this.
I was here for the end of it where they were like, "We aren't sending like soldiers. We'll give you money. We'll give
you money. We'll give you support." And Neil was like, "In the future, if we need them, maybe they'll come and fight for us too." But there was no like we're not assaulting other people for you. But it's like, no, our capital is going to fall. Your trade partner is going to fall, and there's literally a road between our capital and your home. Like, if there was a time to act, it is now.
Yeah. Okay.
Convince him, Tash. Save the capital.
Roll a morale check, Tash. Too soon?
Fuck you.
Too soon.
So I'm gonna just look at Kithel and just take good care of them. Give him like the proper like arm grasp thing.
He nods and says, hold on, what's that? Goddess speed.
And I guess
may the martyr have mercy. Ah!
I like that.
Can we write that down?
Okay.
Kingmaker spoilers. We need some suggestions. For like, may the martyr have mercy. Come on, this is a good one. Naga, where are you, man? We need you. Why do I have an Excel spreadsheet with the different gods and the phrases for those gods? Come on, Naga. That's your job, right? No.
I'm gonna look to the guy, like my escort, and the idea is that they said they would get me to the capital only. They wouldn't stay and help defend these guys. I'm guessing.
They will not. They are going to follow you until you get to the capital.
Yeah.
So if you
okay.
whoop, around the capital, they're going to stay with you.
Interesting. No, I do have to go to the capital because I got to get the dude in the capital who is the Leshev guy.
Oh, that was funny.
Who's the capital who's been dealing with Leshev?
Leshev is
from-
Arthur. Yep, he's actually from
Arthur.
Leshev. Yep.
Okay, that's right. Yeah. Okay, so he was from Leshev.
But,
I got to go to.
but you can
get
you can
him.
always send somebody to call Leshev and have him call Arthur and have him meet you on the road to Leshev.
Actually, that's a good point.
Yep.
I think I'll do that then and head straight for Leshev then.
Mm-hmm. And you can always do that sort of a thing. Now, you were going to stay on the road, and you're currently wading your way through the woods, through your trail or path or whatever you want to call it. But eventually, just outside the capital of your city, when the guards actually will say something along the lines of, "So not to the capital then?"
No, we are going to get help from another army.
It's literally right there. He says, pointing at it like a mile away as you're making your way deliberately around it.
Yes, and you, of all people, should understand that I don't have that time.
Actually, probably less than a mile away. Probably like a quarter mile, because you're in woods, so you wouldn't be able to see it a mile away. But like a quarter mile should probably stand out for one way or another. And he is like one of those things with this chatter amongst them, and you can see they're trying to decide whether or not they should stay with you or they should leave, whether or not they've actually honored their deal or not. Why don't you do me a favor? Roll me a diplomacy check.
Fucking honored their deal.
They did honor their deal. They honor other deals.
Fucking ran.
It's the rules of the game, sir. Tesh couldn't keep it up. Beautiful. So they actually are they are willing to stay with you. By the way, guys, you still have no luck die, but they do stay with you on the trail. It's one of those. It's grumbling, and one of them is they're he hasn't officially gone there yet. Another one's deliberately. It's he hasn't gone. We will follow him until he gets there. And you can see that there's disquiet amongst them, but they're going along with it. And so you can stay on the road.
I'm almost doing this out of spite at this point for their army disbanding.
So anyways, you make your way onto. You actually get to hop on your highway. This is your first time truly getting to use the highway since it got set up or whatever, and it's kind of nice actually.
It's a road, not a highway.
I forgot you didn't pay for a highway yet because your road's too small. Your proper road where it's actually laid out.
A fantasy highway.
It's just bigger and better.
Yeah,
It's bigger. Okay.
yeah. It's actually designed so none of the surrounding land or anything like that affects you, because part of a highway is let's say there's a mountain or whatever, it's the most direct pass, you know what I mean, the easiest.
Okay,
so
yeah.
it's just better planning, and so it's more expensive. And anyways, so it's a much easier ride. This is actually quicker, making your way all the way over to Leshev. This is a multi-day journey for you. You know what I mean? I think you're able to travel so many of these a day. You're going from Rid all the way over to Leshev.
Yeah.
When you get to, so you guys haven't fully finished your contract to Leshev yet, I don't think. I think you still needed to do one or two more.
We need one hex more of road.
That's right.
And then they've got that final hex. Which
So when you get to the other side, you still haven't met up with what's his name yet. Arthur has not met up with you yet. However, when you get there, you can see that they're literally starting. They starting to lay the foundation, laying stonework and whatnot for the bridge that they're going to make across the river between you and them. However, the bridge is far from done. Honestly, if you had to be honest with yourself, it's probably going to take them 3 to 6 months to complete this bridge. But they did a lot of the legwork to get the foundation set on both sides. So when you meet up on that side of the bridge, it's kind of, you speak to the locals, what's the easiest way across, so on and so forth, and they let you know there's actually a ferry that will come back and forth, almost like a large raft that'll bring you back and forth. If you want to go on foot, they can take all of your men at once. If you go on horses, it's going to have to make 3 trips to go back and forth, which will take the better part of a day.
Yeah, once we're over the thing, we're basically there, right? So it wouldn't be too long to... If we go over... Oh my god, what is happening in chat? I just decided to look.
Making your way downstream.
That's what you get for saying redeem highlight my message. Only 100 stepdaddies.
Oh, he's now upping it, isn't he? Anyway, so yeah, if we do cross the river on like with one ferry, it'll be like pretty quick to get to Leshev from there, right?
Yes, it'll be very quick.
Okay, then yeah, just go on foot because we don't have time to take time. We have to go back anyway, so leave the horses on that side ready.
It's one of those things where once the ferry kind of grabs all of you and takes you all across, literally you're on the other side of the bridge, and you finally have, you know, to the north, and you see Arthur on the other side.
On the side we just crossed from.
Correct.
Oh, you fucking. The ferry.
It'll take a few hours
to get from one side to the other.
Because they don't just go across and back. They load it up with a bunch of stuff. They unload, load it up, and bring it across.
I am gonna give him 5 gold to just go straight back across and back. I'll give the person operating the ferry gold to just go pick him up and come back over.
They're like, sorry, sir, I can't help you with this. There's orders. We're doing construction here, and today's actually a good day. We don't want to slow things down for one man when there's a lot of good weather about.
10 gold.
He looks. He's like, I don't know you, but I could get in a lot of trouble with the government.
Drop the big dick, 100 gold.
You know what? Fuck it. Yeah, I'm gonna give him 100 gold.
Funny enough, the thing needs a bit of repairs, and I probably should have a test run back and forth to make sure that I can handle the weight. It's a good thing I just discovered this. And it was one of those things where he wasn't like messing with you to get more money out of you before. He was legitimately like, "Oh, I can't do that."
No.
Like, "Oh no, I appreciate it," yeah. But then he's like, "Fuck it."
Yeah, I mean that's an exorbitant amount of money.
This is I could live off this for like the rest of my life kind of money.
It's like, I heard there's a great nation called Kurzfall. I can go live in instead. Sweet, I'll just take my money and go. Where is everyone?
One would just hit him.
So he goes across and gets Arthur. Arthur's back to you in like maybe a half hour's time at most, right? And is with you. And I imagine as you guys are riding, you're kind of like filling him in of a situation he already kind of understands. And and he's so kind of like after the fill-in portion when it comes to the RP, he's like, I'll be honest with you, Chosen. I'm not entirely certain Leshev is going to lend aid in the form of combat. We certainly should ask. We can ask and we should ask. I'm just not entirely convinced they will. We're definitely more mercantile than we are combative. We have only a small garrison.
That even if that's so, the Haude Gwenh will not stop at Kurzfall, and there is a road neatly between Kurzfall and Leshev. This is Haude Gwen's final attempt. They've mustered all of their forces. They've left no one in the capital, and we have someone heading to the capital.
What I can... He's thinking to himself, he's like, if all else fails, if we can't convince them, we do still have another couple of options. Leshev has good relations with Lvov. It's the parallel town to the north. It's the next one up the river. In theory, we could ask on behalf of Leshev for Lvov to aid troops, to lend aid to us. They would only come in long enough to free our city and then return. Maybe start brokering a relation.
Considering we've had members of Paradel come in and attempt to assassinate our general, I'm not sure that's going to work.
That was one city. You know probably better than I that the each city is its own governance. It's not like it was one of the Turumbar that made this command, right? Unless it was a prince. In theory, that should be an isolated problem. We could ask them. I mean, would we be playing our hand in a moment of weakness? Showing our hand in a moment of weakness? Certainly.
Is an option on the table. I would rather not use it. But if it means saving our people, I will.
He nods. He says, there's one more thing I will say, because they're not going to do something for nothing. They would want some degree of trade. And there's something that Paradel loves more than anything else. It's land that's secured. There's a keep to the northeast of Kurzfall, the top of the river. We could, in theory, offer them that keep. Claim it as ours, and offer that for them, and they would be able to bring their soldiers in, and then they could fall back to that point.
There are complications with that keep.
Are there?
It was to do with breaking the curse on the land. Once again, I'll leave it as an option, but that one is very much far down the list.
Well, if there's complications, maybe giving them a sullied land is a little bit more, is an easier pill to swallow than giving them fertile.
True, but I worry about if Paratel thinks we slighted them.
Do you mind my inquiring as to what it is that's wrong with that keep?
We, I'll say it as simply as we encountered some very dangerous creatures there. And leave it at that.
And just as a reminder, Tesh, those creatures make it so the three of you cannot step foot there, but others can.
I know.
Yeah, okay. Just make sure you remember.
It's still the fact that the way that because I still think they're there. Valorant still think that at least that land is still cursed to that point, and he doesn't want to send anyone there if he doesn't have to, because he doesn't know whether the devils are going to get back or not, is the way he looks at it. And if they get back while Perrin's there, well, they're fucked. the Perrin are dead.
So, I mean, it's one of those options you can keep in the back of your pocket, just in case. Moving on.
Yeah.
Give Arthur a smack and say, "Do your job, Arthur," and get fucking Leshev to come and aid us.
So Arthur's actual position is
Sorry, won't glug mug along. He would be able to keep Arthur in line.
Grand diplomat. It's his job.
Yeah. Okay, that's what I thought. Yep.
But yeah, the biggest thing is that Haude Gwenh is in its dying breath, but its dying breath is a big one. They are doing everything they can to crush us now, and if they fail, they're done.
It's funny, we've been saying that about the Republican Party for like a decade now. These old geezers keep holding on. Come on, you boomers.
If we don't stop them, I don't believe Leshev will be able to. And Leshev definitely won't be able to negotiate. We've seen what happens to towns that negotiate.
He nods. He's like, I understand the predicaments. I am very much on your side of this. I serve the same nation as you do. It's just a matter of convincing them.
I'm just providing you with all the information I know so that you can help me better convinced.
Yeah, he nods, and you guys go walking in with the other soldiers, and he's like, Who are they? That's your guy. Yeah, no, it's fine.
Yeah, I will, there's like a sigh, and then he'll explain what happened at Rude.
So you guys make your way into Leshev. Before you guys actually get into Leshev proper, he does take a step back and says, "It is important. It is important that we both look the appropriate role. The people in Leshev, while they are going to look for a bit of a plight, yeah, you look the proper role. Yeah, and you do it for him as well.
No, he'll actually do it for all the soldiers as well, so they all look nice and done up.
Yep. And so all of you are come walking in, and so it's funny. Those soldiers are not uniform; they're just wearing have weapons because this is the free folk. So like they have a uniform.
They have colors though, don't they?
Not exactly. It's actually they're like the team that you recognize because they don't match. Right? It's like shirts and skins. Everybody knows skins. You know, everybody's shirts is like purple. Yeah, there you go. Yeah.
I'm so tempted to use prestidigitation to just put them in curse colors just for now.
But then the meeting goes on for longer than an hour, and all of a sudden one goes from like purple to like bloop yellow, purple to bloop tan, purple to bloop brown.
Yeah, I'm not gonna do that. I'm just gonna. They're just people who got me here, as far as anyone else knows. Yep.
So you make your way. Oh, shut up! I fucking hate you guys. You get your way into Leshev, and Leshev, as I've described beforehand, lots of market there. It's a city that has a lot of commerce. Blah 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 blah. But you mostly are making your way to the meeting hall now. Before you make your way to before you make your way to the meeting hall, which is where at least you need to go, you stop by Fox's house. I can't remember his first name, but Fox's estate, where you meet with him. And there's a very quick greeting between the two, like, "Oh, buddy, pal," because the two of them are old friends.
His name is Fox.
Yeah, what's his last name?
Wood.
Foxwood. So you go by Fox's estate, and the two of them have their buddy pal moment for like 30 seconds or whatever it is, and he looks to you and says, "The two of you are looking awfully clean. That means something's gone wrong."
Indeed.
You imagine you explain to him the situation, and he's like, "A call for an emergency council meeting, and pray well to your goddess, because you're going to need her aid in this one."
And so I will. Well, he organizes that.
Mm-hmm.
Very, very much so.
And so you go and you pray to your goddess and blah 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 blah, and you go to have the meeting here. Now you never came here before. It was just Neil, correct?
I definitely haven't been here before.
Yeah, wherein brokered all of the deals with these guys. Pay me more.
You find out that the meeting, an emergency meeting, doesn't happen for like a long time. It's one of those annoying things. You're like, emergency means like an hour? Oh, we're going to do it tonight. Like, after the meeting hall usually closes, we're going to stay open like an extra half hour. You're going to squeeze me in there? Thanks. Appreciate it. So that's kind of like just how they do things. And, or actually, my apologies, because it's the evening. They're going to do it tomorrow, like midday tomorrow. I was thinking of timeline, sorry.
It's the Entmoot from Lord of the Rings.
Yeah, more or less. And so that's kind of frustrating. Do you want to kill your time at all in Leshev? Just like, no, I just stay there and pray the whole time, or no, I just spend my time with Fox and Arthur, or I've never been here, might as well go for a walk to walk out my annoyance.
I would ask for an opinion about whether being seen around town would be a good thing.
Fox says no concerns about that whatsoever.
I more meant like if my argument is going to be we're in a rush at the end of this.
No.
They met Wherein, and they should have reasonably good memories of the Chosen.
Yeah.
To reinforce the fact that the Chosen are good and pleasant people is probably not a bad thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. I think I will. I think I'll go about town a little.
Just tell them we'll throw them a kick-ass party when it's over, and then those other guys that came and we threw one for will be like, yeah, they're really good at that.
Walking around Le Chèvre, one of the things that you notice is that, unlike the other places, which seem to be completely built off of old ruins, Le Chèvre is predominantly not built off of old ruins in this area. I think there is some here, but most of the architecture is actually made out of like modern architecture, or whatever. It's like only a couple buildings here and there. For the most part, they built it up on their own. They probably didn't even like use those as original shelter or whatever. But as you're kind of like walking around looking at these things, you can see like, oh, maybe part of one wall here was later on integrated into a building because it looked nice, or whatever the case may be, right? But I actually want you to do me a favor and roll me a history check.
I can do that. That's with a plus 11.
Yeah, you're always saved by your high modifiers. Do you care to modify that at all, or no?
No, we don't have any, do we?
Yeah, you do. Midori came as a savior for you.
Hey, but no, I'm not going to use it on that.
Okay. So one of the things that you notice as you're walking about is that there is, in fact, the outside of one of the buildings, there's an old, again, portion of a wall where you see a couple of almost like medallions that are kind of like embossed or like carved into the wall itself, but again, not inwards. Embossed is, so if there's a wall, it comes out is embossed as opposed to embedded, right? Yeah, so embossed. Kind of like carved out of the wall. That's there. Now, these medallions are unfortunately, and again, they're not metal, they're made out of stone. They're so old and kind of worn that the finer details about them are almost lost. But kind of staring at them and trying to take in an impression of what they do, you can actually, unfortunately, can't really make out the significance of them, aside from they do seem to be of mole creation because the stone wall itself has a kind of like a little bit of metal inlay to it that mole architecture often has. Roll me an Arcana check.
Boop. Hey, that's more like it.
You very quickly understand that even though the finer details of the medallions don't really make much sense, some of the other etchings, the design to it, the overall shape of each of these, again, saying medallions because they're almost like circular with like symbols on the inside, each of these shapes, you do quickly realize that they symbolize the four predominant elemental sigils, which is, fire, water, earth, air, right? You can see that they seem to symbolize them.
Sorry, continue.
And they're kind of like set up in a row across, and then you do see that there is they're all set up in kind of like a row across as they're all set there, and then you can also get the impression that there are other like medallion symbol things kind of like around on the wall as well, but you can't really, they're so small and they're so beat up comparatively, you can't really make out any details of them. But it's just kind of a nifty little design that you happen to see in a wall here in Le Chèvre.
Interesting.
Yeah, but overall, though, most of the city here is much more modern architecture. There's good shops here and stuff like that for you to buy, but I don't think you care to waste both in-game and out-of-game time with that. I think you kind of just want to flash forward to your meeting the next day. So, with your meeting the next day, when it's finally called, again, I'm talking like squeeze you in the middle of the day, and you're literally told, you've got about a half hour, like... They don't really make much time for you because they're just so slow paced. Neil had to wait like over a week before, and it's just annoying. So when you go there for this emergency meeting, once again, like I described beforehand, there's a bunch of seats that can be sat. Not all of them are sat. About a little over half of the people that can sit in their seats are there, including Fox and his appropriate seat. As you come into the courtroom, and there's not really anybody around watching. There are a few citizens that are watching this case. Oh, wait, my apologies. Would you have pled for this to be a private or a public case?
I would have gotten advice from the other two on which would be a better idea. People who know this place better.
So the person that has your most interest in mind is Arthur, and Arthur says, definitely go private. People do not want to partake in war. You don't want them jeering against you.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah.
Then I will go for a private one.
Okay. So when you go walking into this meeting, you don't just walk in there alone. You actually walk in there with Arthur. Arthur, of course, kind of steps forward with you, walks side by side with you, gives you the appropriate introduction as you come walking in. Excuse me.
As I walk in, I'm just gonna do.
Cuts
sacrifice
himself. He walks in and he's like, "Don't make me! Help me or I'll have."
I've already said it doesn't work like that. I don't cut myself. I like a little bit of skin lifts off with runes. Dissolves.
So you walk in there, and he of course announces who you are and so on and so forth. Before you went in there, because of course he is your grand diplomat or whatever, he did give you a brief description of each of the elders on the council, like what their names were and what their personalities are, kind of like how to play to them, so on and so forth. He's actually doing everything in his power to assist you. Now, you guys haven't really been able to use any of these for a long time because, we haven't really come to scenarios where you could use them. But this is a boon that Arthur got a long time ago. Socialite.
No, that's socialite.
Oh, I think I missed an A. That's fine. He attends to play a character, visit a court or social event. He gives you a +4 on all sense, motive, and diplomacy checks during the interaction. Yep.
That's fucking massive. That'd bring me up to some disgusting modifier on my diplomacy.
Yeah, that's why he's not with you.
I really wish I had
16. Plus 16.
I wish I had ticked diplomacy now.
And so that's something he automatically, just like Kithul before, used his if a rock could talk, that allows him to commune with nature. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Anyways, so this ability gives you a +4 to these skills. So you can just go ahead for now and just under miscellaneous add a 4 modifier to those 2 skills. So you can just roll without having to do math later on. And he walks in, and it's literally one of those things where he announces who you are. And Arthur's actually really good at being very subtle. Unlike Scott. And so it's one of those things where as you go to like address one particular person, he'll even say things like smile. And as you go to another person, he's like, look anxious. Like he'll say little things like under his breath just to give you like these little cues. And like another point in time, he'll be like widower, as you're talking about like another, just like really again give you like the idea of like who it is that you're reading. All right, moving on from Arthur. So you stand there before them, and then kind of like the leader of the council. There's no real leader there. There's the table that's immediately in front of you with like the kind of like the council leaders, and then behind them there's the other people that have their other like lesser but also kind of equal, depending on what it is they're voting on, stations. And so one of these crickety old men is like, all right, we've gathered together for an emergency meeting for you. We understand that you are another one of the chosen of our Valorin, hailing from Kurzfall, looking for some sort of aid now. Now, we did, of course, meet before with another chosen, not you, but another one, and you use a lot of flowery language and seem to droll along for much longer than perhaps was necessary. I certainly hope that you're a little bit more quick with your words.
Thank you. Yes, I will be much more to the... Oh, sorry. Go on.
I was going to say, sorry, and then I'll let you get into your flow. Arthur kind of like does a tiny little subtle tap of your foot that you recognize as ignore that.
Oh, yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, of course. Yes, I am Valorin, chosen of the Hearth. I have asked you to organize this emergency meeting because we are of dire straits at the moment. Haude Gwenh has launched a 3-pronged attack with all of its forces. Every soldier they have has left the capital. Now we have someone already ready to capitalize on this, but alas, Rid has fallen. And the army that attacked it is going to be moving on Kurzfall. And once Kurzfall is gone, it will be coming here. I ask for your help to hold them back at Kurzfall.
Somebody else calls out and says, how do you know that Rid has fallen, and more so, how do you know that Kurzfall is their next target?
Have you heard of the army of the Free Folk? They were there defending Kurzfall, but they have since disbanded.
Roll me a sense motive.
Yeah. Ooh.
Beautiful. Wow. You only had a 2 in sense motive prior to him.
Yeah. Yep.
It's a good thing he gives you a 4.
It's one of those things where I chose my skills based on what my character would want, not based on what I want. Like, I want sense motive in diplomacy because I need it so much, but
I always appreciate building your character to be your character. So, anyways, you actually get a quick understanding that they actually do know well the Free Folk, and with a 24 result, it's really good. You actually get the impression that they seem to. Well, there might be like a couple that kind of shy away from it. Overall, you get kind of like a nods and like you believe that they've actually had dealings with the Free Folk before, like positive dealings with the Free Folk before, which, taking a step back and you're thinking about it, for a nation that doesn't really have a military, right? They have like
it would make sense, yeah.
Yeah, if they need to do some sort of attack, that's who they would use. But go ahead.
We need to hold. So sorry, we were getting back to where all that the sense motive happened. Sorry, my brain goes the derpy. Okay, so the Free Folk were defending Rid, but have since disbanded and scattered. These, and I'll actually gesture to the men. Escorting me until I get back to Kurzfall.
So, that's funny, it didn't work. So you, they're helping you disband it, and then one of them says, "Are you telling me that the Free Folk have already fallen to the armies of Haude Gwenh?"
This is where the technicality comes in. They didn't fall; they disbanded. Rather than they weren't quite defeated. But is that a distinction enough that, like, realistically, this is me asking, is like in game, in the world, would I consider that a distinction of them being defeated?
Most people would say yes. Neil would try to draw this like fucking trapezoid, crazy shaped lines, like gerrymandered. Technically, but most people would say yes.
Okay, then I'm not going to lie because that would be a bad idea. I'm just going to say yes, they were.
There's actually some conversation amongst them and whatnot. Continue with your previous sense motive because I'll allow that to go for like a little bit, then you have to roll again.
Yep.
They actually seem to be very intimidated by the fact that the Free Folk fell because of the previous understanding that you had beforehand that that's who they would usually hire.
Yeah.
So it's like, oh shit, that's who we would have help you if we were going to help you. So this is very bad. And then at the same time, there's the idea that, if they can defeat the Free Folk, who have always worked in the past, this really is a threat. It actually makes things seem a lot more dire. Roll me a perception.
Yep.
The DC is not too small.
Ooh.
Okay. So you actually hear a bit of whispered conversation from them. And this is the last one I'll allow your sense motive to go. So the whispered conversation you hear from these old people is, luckily for you, they're so old that they can't really hear each other. So their whispers are a little bit louder. So you're actually able to pick up part of what they say, and your sense motive covers that gap for you. That it seems like they're genuinely concerned that if they took Harrod, which was talked about beforehand, if they took a Strahd, now they've taken Rid, and you truly believe they're going to Kurzfall with a road between you and Kurzfall, it would behoove them to take Leshev, and then Forvin is right there for the grab. They can literally have the entire river region, right? They can have the entire river region of a deer, which means that they have the heart. They can control all the deer.
Okay.
You can see that there's
they're
like
saying that. Okay, so that actually this is one of those things that if I say this could go either way. But I'm going to be saying this in the sense that I'm trying to reassure them that we are already taking action in trying to stop them from doing that, and that they should assist us with it. Essentially, we have an army intercepting one of the prongs of the attack down at, and I can't actually see the name because it's covered up by all the armies.
Harrod.
Harrod. Down at Harrod. They are attempting to stop that advance. We know that another advance is coming through the middle. Do these people know about Vigil?
Yes, they do.
Okay, they have another army heading towards Vigil. And as I said before, the force heading towards Kurzfall.
So the when you say that, once again, you get the whole, there's like a mixed chatter amongst them. You don't need to roll sense motive because I'm going to be vocal this time. Verbal this time. So one of them is like, well, perhaps if you had your army back at your home, you wouldn't have to come to us for some aid. Oh, shut up, you git. If they didn't try to stop them from down there, then they would just take Harrod and then Thorvin. Someone else is like, I've already taken Harrod. These people are interfering with the issues of Haude Gwenh. No, they're trying to stop Haude Gwenh from spreading even further. They said 3 pincered. There are 3 pincers. They had to approach all 3 pincers, you fools. And somebody else, the original one's like, oh, raises his hand to quiet everybody. And it takes like a minute because not everybody sees the hand right away. And they eventually quiet up. And so he says to you, you had mentioned beforehand that there are 3 pincers. There's the one that defeated your army in Rid, and the one that's currently being battled in Harrod, which that army very well could have fallen as well. Or one, but, God damn it, I keep messing with the cameras today. Sorry, everybody. It's because I keep clicking back and forth. Because I'm trying to see Tesh, and Tesh was like hidden. So he's like, very well could have won. You could go either way. But you haven't told us yet about where this 3rd army is attacking.
I thought I told them it was Vigil.
Oh, Vigil.
Yeah.
Where's Vigil?
So, Vigil is in between Rid and Harrod. Now, they can hold an army there as long as they're not attacked from multiple directions. Now, if we hold this attack at all 3 points, we have we have a small army that will be able to take Haude Gwenh from behind. And if we defeat these armies and or stop them in their tracks, Haude Gwenh is done for.
Basic mechanics of war don't separate your army. I mean, and you split the party, you fail. Don't you know this by now?
We intended to have the Free Folk defend Rid as our army battled Harrod. Now, the force that has gone to take Haude Gwenh is a force. I was specifically, so I know now, of course, so I know now that Haude Gwenh is basically undefended. I know that they've sent basically everyone. So the small force is that it is small. It would not exactly be useful against a large army, but it will be useful in taking Haude Gwenh when it is undefended.
So what you've been saying so far, this is more or less trying to explain your scenario and trying to bend their ear to sympathize with you, right? So this isn't convincing them quite just yet. I need your first.
Also go on. Yep.
I need your first diplomacy check on just trying to bend their ear to be like, to understanding the direness of the situation and bend them full in your favor. Now, because of the fact that you had played things the right way with your sense motives and whatnot, I'm actually going to give you an additional +1 to your diplomacy check. You can just do this math in your head or afterwards. But because you played it the right way. Go right ahead, sir.
Okay. So this is the one I'm going to use the thing on, my sacrificial boon. So +2 from what we get.
Cool. Rolls a 1.
Yeah. Probably, honestly. It's rolled bad. Not
so
too bad, but
it's
bad.
a 17? Do you want to try to modify that? See if you can crest that 20?
What do you think, guys? This one, or save it till later?
So remember, the way that diplomacy works is that they're not. Unfortunately, even though these are trade partners of yours, the people here, the group here, is not either helpful or friendly towards you. So but they're also not hostile or unfriendly. So the DC is actually set at 15 plus charisma modifier, which these are a bunch of leaders. So maybe a +2 is enough. Maybe you want to get higher. So it's kind of it's on that fence.
Yeah, I'm gonna use it because if I can get there, it'll be harder to win them over later. If I can push them towards it now.
Mm-hmm. Ow! I just hurt my hand. Beautiful.
Ooh.
That is sexy. I actually had the DC set not low. The DC was low. Yeah, it was literally set at a 21. I think you just got a 22.
Oh shit!
No, it set at 20, and I think you got a 21. Sorry. So you're good. You actually beat it. It was set at 20 because there's so many of them. I was like, oh, +5 charisma modifier. That's appropriate. So you actually do start bending their ear, so they're at least understand the gravity, the gravitas, the gravity of the situation, and the are sympathetic to the plight because you are doing a 3-point tactic, but it's not an aggressive tactic. You're defending Vigil. You're defending Rid. Technically you're aggressive against Harrod. So you actually two defense, 1 attack.
Well, okay, yeah. But I also, I did say that we sent a force to take over Haude Gwenh while the armies weren't there, so. But I guess that's taking over less, slaughter everyone, hopefully. One, please don't.
So you make your so after you finish that conversation with them, they kind of fall once again into a chatter amongst each other. Same as before, you can roll that perception, and if you roll high enough, you can roll a sense motive. Someone in chat just said that we are all the same guy at different weights and level of beard. So I would like to say that Neil has the lowest level beard. Neil's actually hasn't even gained the 1 yet. He's like an apprentice beard.
It's not fair. I recently trimmed mine.
An apprentice beard. You know what? Fair enough. I'll accept that. I'm in quite well-bearded company, so. These are all the same guy at different weights.
Wait, you know what? Wait, I need to screenshot the
I swear we're more than our beards and weight. We have different personalities.
Do we though?
Yeah.
I'm taking that screenshot, and then who was it that said it, so I can make sure I give them the right name? Oh,
Edgar Cat.
Edgar Cat.
Yeah.
Yep.
So let's see. We're the same personality.
I'm putting that on Twitter later.
Except
No, Scott's like the happy, grumpy one, but also like really, what's the term? Scatty.
Scatty.
Yeah, that's a good word for it.
Scatty.
Jake is like the chill, grumpy one.
Absent-minded and disorganized. I hate how accurate that is.
Tesh is like the nice one.
Yeah, see, I was gonna say Tesh is the nice one. You're the sassy one. I'm the douche, and Jake is quiet.
Jake just doesn't say anything when he like doesn't have anything to say, which is the opposite of me. He'll just like say random bullshit all the time. We balance each other out perfectly.
See, Tesh is like us. Tesh also doesn't shut up. He's just smart enough to distract himself so he can be polite to other people.
That's true.
That is 100% true.
See, I'm not going to be rude, so shiny. So funny. So I'm sorry. So you made your perception check with it, which is a 15 total, correct?
Yes.
You make a much. It's a bit harder for you to hear the things that they're saying, despite how they're like Charlie. So could you roll me a sense of motive? The DC's higher this time.
Got that +6. Oh.
Unfortunately, you're not able to really hear what they're saying.
I'll take
is that
the
guy
one
dead?
there.
Is he breathing still?
I just turned off the just Does someone need to? No, he's okay. Good.
Oh, it's poop. It's poop. Okay.
Oh, that's what that smell is.
So, so
Yeah,
anyways,
no, I'm happy with a 1 there versus a 1 in one of the diplomacy checks.
so you don't really hear much of what they're saying. However, you get a read that there's like a lot of aggravation amongst them. Like there's a lot of fighting amongst them. But it's because when old people are happy, they still sound like they're yelling. So you're
That's ageist.
ever answer the phone? Be like, okay, but you don't have to yell.
This is ageism. I am so sorry, chat. Just ignore him.
It's only
Ignore
ageism.
this old man.
It's only ageism if it's over if they're senior citizens. It's only ageism if they're senior citizens. Otherwise, it doesn't matter. It's the only protected class, senior citizens. So instead of 65, we're talking about 63-year-olds. You know, it's legal. So moving on, you're like hearing what they're saying, but they sound very, very aggressive towards one another. Like things have got turned into a bit of a hot debate between them. Unfortunately, you can't really hear what they're saying. Eventually, they kind of turn their attention to you. The leader one speaks to you, kind of the speaker, and says, "So, what do you ask of us? You ask of us to defend your city against this upcoming onslaught. How do we know that your city hasn't already fallen? That our soldiers would be going there?" He's speaking way too fast for an old man. "How do we know that your city has not already fallen?" And they're
So to math it out, this is me out of character. To math it out, an army takes a lot of time to move, right?
yeah, these typical armies moving at about, I want to say, of course, none of them have the details on them. It's annoying.
Nice, useful.
Now, how
What's the army detail tab for this?
It's two hexes a day for most armies. And this is
heading through woodland.
This is 1,000 people going through woodland, so they would actually move 1 a day. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4 days to get to Kur's Fall. Assuming they didn't stop in Rid.
But
yeah,
I imagine they would have stopped in Rid to deal with the fact that they just fought a fucking battle.
And take the city proper and so on and so forth. So if you want to give yourself, you could say, I can comfortably say 6 days you have. Now, as for your traveling, you were on horseback and you went kind of quickly. Horseback allows you to travel. Give me 1 second to look at the rules here real quick because I want to give you accurate numbers.
This is where we find out that Kurzfall's likely already fallen.
Or 3.5, sorry. I think they traveled 3.5.
This is where we find out there's no point and Kurzfall's like already dead, and I'm like, well,
God, that'd be so sad. You know what the worst would be if we were all apart when that happened.
Yeah.
So we weren't even able to like.
Valorant, I'm not sure if he'd forgive himself if he wasn't there when it fell.
Jesus, that'd be so depressing. I really don't want Kurzfall to fall. Actually, I'm quite fond of the kingdom and the people.
Because he was convinced to leave. What he wanted to do was like be like with the refugees and be on like the furthest back, and to make sure they got there and then stay there to defend. But he was convinced he needed to go help save people.
So you it took you better part. So it took you about like 3 days to get here with hard riding all the way here. And because you have to wait till this meeting is happening on day 4. If you left today, you can get back to Kurzfall for probably, like I'll get hard riding for the morning of day 5. Likely you'll be getting there for the evening of day 5. And they'd be getting there for the morning of day 6 in theory.
Then I will explain that it is likely that we have a week. I'm going to say almost a week, if not a week, before this army would be able to have moved on Kurzfall.
So he was in the middle of speaking when you, out of character, were asking questions. Do you allow him to finish the sentence, or do you interrupt him with this?
No, I guess I'll allow him to finish because I don't want to.
Okay, so he more or less, you got the point, of course, where, you know, how do we know we wouldn't be going there and now trying to route an army out of there? And then your response was,
okay, so first of all, I would say, firstly, even if they had reached Kurzfall, they would not have sieged the keep yet, but they would not have reached Kurzfall. the army had only just taken just beaten the free folk, defeated the free folk at Rid, as of, and I'll say was it 3.5 days ago, or yeah, that 4 days, 4 days ago. Given given the best estimates, they would need at least 2 more days before they would reach Kurzfall.
One of them speaks up and says, in the name of the gods, man, you got here in only 4 days' time. I have to say, that is an impressive backside you've got on you.
And then I'm just going to do a presentation to show I have magic, and it's like...
Is this like Free Folk Mark 2? You have to bed the leader.
Oh.
But in this case,
no.
it's all these old men.
I would show a bit of magic and to be like, I have aided myself in other means.
Sorry, unfortunately, Neil, tangent. You made me think of growing up. One of my older brother's friends, he used to tell this funny story. I can't do the story justice, and I won't waste time doing it. But more or less, he would do this funny story of, what if the story of Christ was a porn? And cut into one particular scene, he goes, instead of like the night, instead of like he takes like the 2 fish and the bread and he turns into enough food from everybody. You can imagine what happens is amongst all the people that came traveling to him, he stands at a cliff just over all of them and says, I understand that the people here are hungry, that they're thirsty, but tell them to fret not, because tonight they feast on sausage. It's like, anyways.
I knew where that was going, and I was like, no, please no.
Again, it's this thing, because it's something that I heard so many times when I was so young. It's not even that funny, but it just is, because it's like embedded back there. Anyway, so Neil, of course, made me think of that. Thanks, Neil. Continuing. You, sir, you make your statements about the
how much time it would take.
Yeah, how much time it would take. Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
And so there's like a bit of conversation once again amongst them. And then finally one of them says, if we were to rout the army, it would be, if we were to gather an army, it would take time. Gather an army takes at least a week to do if we were to send our own people. And somebody else says, well, we could always try the free folk again. I mean, they already have an army together, right? They tend to just reform wherever their base is. You, boy, do you know where their base is?
Do you think the free folk would be so willing to go against an army that has defeated them once already?
Don't just take it. You're no boy. You're a king. You let him know
I am.
You let him roll his own. I'm muting you again. I'm gonna say it.
I'm taking Arthur's advice and ignoring the little jabs like that.
Mute. So anyways, you say, are we willing? And one of the others says, well, they've already turned tail and run. Who's to say that they're willing to fight again? And another chimes up, an old lady.
That's what I thought, yeah.
An old lady chimes up and says, oh, they always take the coin when you throw it to them. I mean, if you've got the coin, they'll take the coin. And somebody else says, oh, they've already taken coin and they've fallen. We're going to have to up the ante and pay considerably more if we want that. Well, we do have that shipment of ores that was head for Kurzfall that's been in storage. That was supposed to head over that direction. We could have those ores given to them. Yeah, that's right. Make them pay for their own problems. And then there's a bit of like a inner jabber and whatnot amongst them. Is some people are like, no, we should help our friends. Now there's like, no, that's their problem. And then it goes on for a little bit there. Roll a sense motive.
Yeah, okay. I was gonna say, if I'm hearing that they're like the whole "it's their problem" or "help a friend" thing, I'm gonna try and remind them that, hey,
no, just roll your sense motive first.
This is their problem as well. Oh my god!
Go right ahead and remind them.
No, that was only if I got that impression. If my sense motive failed, I can't tell what's going on.
You can't tell what's going on. You think Arthur's trying to send you some sort of a signal, but it's so loud and he's very subtle. It's hard to pick up his signals.
Oaths you have taken.
No, wait. I can do a thing. I can do a thing. So
Chat,
I
can
will
we
do this,
trump Neil just because he keeps talking? Go ahead.
and I will say to Arthur,
He can't
tap
respond,
your-
mind you.
No,
Okay.
that's why I said
Okay.
tap your foot. Is there something I ideally need to hear from you about what's going on?
Tap your foot a foot.
If there's something I ideally need to hear about what's currently going on, because it looks like he's trying to tell me something.
He very subtly shakes his head. He's just again trying to give you. He knows he's out of turn if he speaks here, so he's trying not to. You know what I mean? So it's fine. So you let the whole thing play out, and eventually, again, you don't really know which way they're kind of like leaning towards you. They're sympathetic, but you don't know if they're leaning to help you or not. And so finally, they come together and say, the free folk could potentially be rehired again. It's just a matter of sending a message to the free folk to see whether or not they're willing to do so. And somebody says, well, the Hatman seems to be someone who's awfully willing to lend some sort of aid. Have you earned or garnered any degree of favor with the Hatman?
Okay, so let me double check. What are the names of the both of the leaders? Because I've got I've got them written down. This is like,
She's the only leader. Others are like in her council. She has two others in her council, but she actually has like a group she has a council of, I should say, but she is the leader.
He's a crumb.
Yeah. That's all. You do that like thing to that reaction. That's literally how I remember her name. Okay, so she made sure that these men would escort me to Kurzfall. I assume that means some form of favor.
They would kind of agree to. They were actually, you know what? Roll me a diplomacy on that one.
Oh, damn it! So close. Nearly got it for free. No.
You want to modify that? Or are you happy with it?
Can I modify it?
You have one more luck dice left.
Do I use it on this one or leave it for like the final one?
I think they're now a DC.
This is...
What were they? A DC 15 plus whatever? You succeeded, so it should have brought them down a step. So they're DC 10 plus their charisma. So
they're
15.
Friendly. Mm-hmm.
It's a DC 15, right? In fact, because their charisma is a +5.
You keep rolling on that line.
If you roll a 2 or more, then you'll hit that DC 15. So you have a 50%
So what you're saying is
chance
there's a
to succeed.
chance.
Well, there's a reasonably good chance. However, it should be noted that you are rolling like a day.
Yeah, so do I do it?
Yeah.
75% chance.
Hey!
Did I get that totally wrong? Did I say 50%?
You did. I assumed you meant 75, which is amusing that I just assumed that rather than correcting you.
So they're kind of, once again, talking amongst themselves, so on and so forth, blah, 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 blah. And eventually they're kind of like, all right, bring it down, I say. I said, shut up, you! So, perhaps the free folk are willing to be worked with, and it seems as though we do have a means of communicating with them. We have a scroll of magic that could transport word to the hetman across the distance and see if she's willing to work with us. It's just a matter of negotiating cost. Now, it seems as though you had recently a blacksmith that came through here and had some degree of materials that are meant to be brought to your kingdom. Materials that are still being held in our warehouses because you haven't appropriately paid for them yet. And they are meant to have the monies delivered to us to give to the mines where they came from, or the merchants, and then you would get the materials. You could, in theory, have those paid for and delivered to the free folk. Perhaps they want that.
Now, I know that this material specifically is like is this from the top of the mountain place?
The materials would come from, yes, the north, from Vala.
So
Correct.
this is the really rare stuff.
Correct.
So this is this the limited supply stuff, or like would we be able to get more?
I mean, in theory, you can get more. There's mines out there that mine this stuff out. This is just the high quality Tasian steel.
I mean, we also have BP to pay them. We don't have to pay them in at all.
That's true. I mean, how much did we pay them for the first fight?
I actually haven't even appropriately charged you guys for last week yet. I gotta make sure I do that.
Oh.
I should probably do that right now, actually.
Yeah, we didn't pay what fight? Don't know what you're on about.
So let's see. Let's look
We
at
don't have an
costs.
army on hire, do we?
2,
Oh, they ran away.
Yeah, they fucking run away. We don't have
4.
to pay upkeep.
Like
4.
Tesh chasing after them with his little purse.
That's 10.
Like, you haven't been paid yet.
10 plus. You had to pay 13 for this last week's.
My
Oh wait, hold on.
God.
Plus Vroga's 14.
That's not just them though. That's all our armies.
That was all of your armies altogether was 14 last week.
How much BP did they cost?
Who's they?
The free fall.
3. I think they were pretty cheap.
I've just minus that off the treasury, by the way. We're now down to 16 BP.
Okay.
We're gonna go into debt.
Neil, don't you sit here and pretend like you don't get Fortune's favors. If I remember correctly, the first time Fortune's favor was integrated, you got
Scott,
a character intro
if
with
I
the
may-
Fortune's favor.
If I may interrupt you slightly,
Uh-huh.
we're gonna look at my thing that I've written there. Is that from the only other person who's required an FF to survive?
My apologies. You were it was unity, not division. My apologies. That's right. You best silver tongue the queen. Because when you meet, she might ask you a few questions.
Wow. Well, I actually met someone with an axe recently.
Oh
A
yeah.
large lady with an axe. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh no, it was a one-handed sword, wasn't it?
Yeah.
I forget.
Anyway.
because I killed
Rena
her.
recently held a sword in one hand too. One would love it.
Is that
Anyway.
is that a reference to that image of you holding your sensitive thing in one hand? And screenshot.
Yes. Did you get it? Please tell me you got it.
Let's just. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Oh, baited.
Oh, brilliant. Okay.
I guess you're a masturbator.
I'm gonna send that one to Josh.
I will give one of the soldiers that brought me here a look like, would they like that? Would they like the ore?
They're not in here with you. They're not welcome in here.
Oh, fuck. Okay. Would you be? How sure are you that they would want this ore?
I do not know what they would like. We're just trying to find some degree of saving your ass.
Get Leshev to accept the ore to provide down payment, at which point we can then pay them back with BP to get the ore back at a later date.
Fuck it, take control, Tesh.
My
and
brain
make
just
them
fucking
their own damn
exploded.
army.
My brain. What did you?
He's saying more or less, you keep the ore as a down payment.
So we give the ore to Leshev, saying cover our fee to the free folk for now, and then we'll pay you back for that and the ore.
Okay, and what did you say, Jake?
He said, take over, grab him by the balls. Be a man.
Can you imagine that? Can you imagine that if Valorant just walked up to the old guy who's like giving us some stick and literally just under the table, and this guy's like, well, maybe we can.
With mage hand, okay? With mage hand.
Actually, I have mage hand.
Oh my god.
Is that distant ledgerman or whatever it's called? It's 5e.
Okay, sorry, it's 4 a.m. My brain's not
Range
working.
ledgerman.
I'm gonna suggest what Neil just said, but in better words, because my brain's not working because it's 4 a.m.
No, you're fine. Please. It's the tail end
It's
of our
fine, it's
session.
fine. Scott literally put you last.
I know.
This is where I should have been, really.
You are last in all of our minds.
Yet
So
also
yeah, that
first.
suggestion that we give them the ore as a down payment to pay the free folk, and we will pay them back for that and the ore.
So there's you actually are convincing them we cover the costs for now, and once we
And you have
can,
the ore as down
we
payment.
will pay you back and
you
make
have
this
the
worth your
ore
while.
as as collateral, basically.
You have the ore as collateral. You are going to cover the costs, and we will pay you back.
Yeah.
Do you offer? So I obviously heard the words that you're saying, but does your meaning carry interest as well, or is your meaning saying just cover the costs and we'll pay you back?
I
mean, don't get me wrong. I'm not saying you get to choose one way or the other. I'm just saying, are you offering that on the table?
I know. What do you guys think? Should I offer that as part of it? Just to...
They're going to ask for interest no matter what because they're merchants.
So
I would gently remind them in this
Just leave it where that
we
is.
actually
Okay.
have a defensive pact.
Yep.
And
That's,
this is defensive.
okay, so you more or less you can leave it exactly with how you said it, and that's fine. Roll me a diplomacy. And we did not make them friendly or helpful or anything like that yet.
Ooh, got to get that 8. Ooh!
Yay!
That is really good. That's 10 higher. So you say this, and they kind of talk amongst themselves. Once again, perception, followed by, if you roll high enough, a sense motive.
Ooh. Perception. Oh!
What do your elf ears hear?
Actually, so sense motive DC is dip.
Oh, but is it dip that far?
The DC is a lot less for you though, so it's a little bit easier. So they're getting the thing is they're getting aggravated with one another, so they're just getting louder. So it's very easy to hear what they're saying. However, it is very difficult to understand the tone behind it because everything just sounds like it's like, I said I love you. No, I said I love you so much. Okay, I would die for you. One of those, the tone doesn't necessarily match the meaning. So you hear them kind of bickering back and forth and whatnot. And you can hear the conversation is saying things along the line of, we need to help our trade partners. If they fall, we very well may fall as well. Kind of echoing the sentiments that you had heard beforehand, but it's very much swaying more in your side. That you do see that there's a debate whether or not they should take some money from you, blah, 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 blah. But it does sound like those saying that there is no money against you is actually, so the number one kind of trade merchants, leader person, happens to be Fox, which works in your favor, because Fox actually very much he literally gets to the point of standing and shouting like we do not gut our friends while they're in need. We do not do this. It's kind of it's a huge uproarious debate that goes on for we're talking over half an hour of screaming, which brings the entire meeting much longer than it was supposed to be. And eventually when things settle down, it takes a full few minutes for things to settle down. And when they do, some people have walked out of the room to be angry for a few minutes. And some people pacing, and others sweating. There's people out of breath, it's at one point in time an old man fainted. It got really, really heated.
I am going to deliberately be very much have that sort of polite sort of stature of just letting them sort this out. Very much trying to just be overly courteous to the fact they're doing this, just as if it was just a normal discussion, not them all doing this.
So I will tell you at this point, you've shifted them to helpful. So this is where you can actually, if there's more requests that you want to make beyond just, if there's anything that you want to request, keep that in mind, Tesh. Now is probably your time. So the old man turns to you and says, all right. It's quiet enough in here that I think we can hear each other. We will do as you request. We will come to the aid of our friend in need. They are marching on your doorstep, and if we don't defend yours, they very well may walk up to ours as well. We will reach out to the free folk, and we will pay whatever fee it is to have them pull their army back together. You said they're not far from the door of your home anyways. If we could send a message to them quickly, very well, they could get there before their army or even you yourself does. Very well, they could defend the Curse Fall for you. And hopefully this time, they do so well.
Thank you.
He nods.
This is agreeable. Thank you. It means a lot. I will, however, suggest that you start forming your own army now, just in case. This is whether your army comes and helps us, or whether you need to defend yourselves afterwards. I would advise taking the time to get your forces together now.
They kind of like no. You know, do me a favor. Roll me one last diplomacy check.
Is this the thing where Tesh has made them form this militia, and just as we're about to be destroyed, Lashev's gonna like ride as a Rohan over here.
So actually, sorry, you have to step on your toes in advance there, Neil. You got a 28. That's amazing. You can't modify it because you're out, but luckily now you're rolling well. So your luck has stayed with you. So he actually says that, like, when you talk, there's again a little bit of debate amongst them or whatever, and then he says, we will in fact form an army. This will happen, but there is a 3-pincered attack. We will have the people of the free folk come to your immediate aid because you are in a dire strait. But we will form an army, and rather than wait for them to march upon our own home, we will send them forward, and we will aid on the battlefields where we can. They probably won't be as plentiful as the armies that you have raised until this point, as we do not typically keep this kind of stature around, but we will aid in the places that we can. I will say it will take at least a week for us to form this army, as well as whatever time it takes to travel them. But we will be in communique between now and then, so that we can aid each other and stop this army once and for all. However, I do say this comes at a bit of a cost. We need to understand that the people of Kurzfall, the people of Elrin, are here in a defensive measure and not an offensive one. We need to know that you are not here just to pillage and take everything, that you are not the attackers in this situation. After the dust settles, after the war is over, Haude Gwenh, what comes of it?
We will likely rebuild it. If we know that they have modified their infrastructure. At one point they were rationing water to those who joined the army. We will make sure that it is prosperous for all, not just those who run it.
And of those who run it?
Depends on what their crimes are with regards to treating of their people.
Oh, he doesn't know.
No, I don't. He doesn't know. He doesn't know.
Oh my god, I forgot!
Yeah. It'll depend on what their crimes are with how they treated their people. We'll gather as much information as possible, but we know that some of their crimes are great. We know slavery was rampant, and as I said before, they would let people that die of thirst to force them into the army. Some will likely be executed.
We remember this story. It was the chosen of the quill, you fool. The quill that had informed of this.
If you need a second opinion, talk to Vigil. They themselves had spies.
No. There's no reason to believe that there are lies being spread here. My point is one step beyond that. After Haude Gwenh falls, very likely the rulers will be replaced. Do you intend to replace those rulers, or will the people do it themselves?
Okay, so this is give me a second. This is a big one.
Out of game test, you know too. If it is us like if we more or less take the city, the three of us will just more or less decide, and you need a 2-vote, to like win, more or less. So I don't know.
Hey,
we haven't
what?
discussed.
That confused me.
Well, actually, so funny enough, you guys did discuss this beforehand, and if I remember correctly, what you kind of thought would be a good idea beforehand is to have Haude Gwenh have its own government for now, but a bit of a puppet government wherein
Lady
you have
Graris would
Lady
be-
Graris, and then you would also grab another one of your, what are they called, like almost like viceroys or whatever, to be over there as well. So more or less, you would try to set up a puppet government under your. So you at least have the majority, if not the complete control over that puppet. I believe.
Okay, so
I think that your character Valorant was also in agreement of this because let's not just straight kill
Raven
people.
and Valorant actually voted. They voted that way, and one voted.
yeah, no, I remember.
Okay.
I think I remember
because we
bits and
voted
pieces
to
of this
trust
now.
Lady Graris.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. We did. That was the whole deal, was to put her in power afterwards. Yeah, I remember now.
Now I remember the exact voted the other way. Voted the other way is try to murder everybody and some the lady.
So we would help. So this is me not knowing the right way to phrase this because once again it's 4:30 a.m. But essentially we would help get rid of the tyrants and help the people institute their own government. Of course, I'll leave out the part about Lady Graris.
The nobility already exists.
Yeah.
So you'd have to select.
Actually, can we say we've
from
got
the leadership from the nobility
we've already-
that remains?
Yeah, well, would it be okay to say that, we have there are members of nobility that oppose the current government, and we will help them take control?
Yeah, you can say that. Yeah. You say
will
exactly
say
that. And so there's a bit of a chatter amongst them as well. Roll me one more perception again. If it's decent, you can roll a sense motive. Yeah. Okay, you're lucky.
Am I observant? Hey, I'm more observant than usual.
You actually get the impression that they have, because these people are old rulers. They have experience either in Leshev or from elsewhere. Came here. These aren't idiots, right? They're just old. And so they actually, you get the impression from hearing what they're talking about, so on and so forth. They understand what it is that you're trying to do, like what your plan is in the future. They don't necessarily know that that's what. That's what your plan is. They know that is a plan that can go favorable for all of you guys involved. And so you get that impression, so it's no surprise to you when he turns to you afterwards and says, well, when the government is switched over to favor the nobility that's in charge, I think it needs to be understood that Haude Gwenh cannot properly be expected to control itself, since it has now a dark past. Should the time come that Haude Gwenh is defeated and from the ashes a new government is born, I think Leshev should have representatives that are down there as well and have some say or input in the matters that take place there.
Okay, here comes the big one. What do you guys think? Do I let them?
You don't get to. You actually don't get to ask them because they're not here. You're on your own. That's meta chat.
Oh, I hate you so much right now.
No, I agree. This is a good step for you, Tesh. You're the king. You're the primo king as well.
Okay.
We're like the side kings.
We do sit to the side.
It's true.
You're the slab and we got lefty and righty over there. I'll let you decide which is which.
You're like the shaft. We're just the.
Yep.
Okay, so he's asking for representatives in Haude Gwenh, basically.
More or less, yep. They're saying that they'll have representatives there. You don't necessarily know that he's just asking for somebody on the council, but very likely they are. But as well as just they need to have sway. They're like, okay, we need to have an opinion on Haude Gwen's future politics.
Okay, well, I think in this situation we do. This is they care about money, so we can sway them in the future with regards to good trade, whatever's benefiting them, they're okay with, sort of thing.
Yeah.
So I think
more or less you got the impression with your roles beforehand that they understand that you guys are going to, or may later on realize that you can set up a puppet government. And while they don't seem to be opposing you doing that, they're like,
they just want to get a hand in it.
yeah.
They want to slice the cake. Yeah.
That's a delicious cookie, right?
Then I think I would agree to those terms.
How do you phrase
I
it?
think. Okay, so he asked specifically for representatives. So once the current leadership is overthrown, and the formation of the government the from these nobles has this is, you get the general gist of how I'm saying this, but I'm not saying this properly because once the new government has been formed, having representation, having I said the right word before. Now I can't remember the word for the not representation.
A seat in the council, sway, hand in the jar.
No, the actual term for the representatives, having representatives from Leshev help. I know. Having representatives from Leshev help return Haude Gwen's economy.
Oh, okay.
To what it was.
Gotcha. So more or less, you say like, yes, we're going to take your aid for economic aid and so on and so forth, which is a diplomatic way of saying, all right, yeah, you can have a piece. All right,
basically,
cool.
yeah.
Gotcha.
I'm also phrasing it in a way that makes it like a little more appealing for them because they love that sort of stuff.
There's again one last deliberation, and then finally he says, I think we can all agree to these terms. That Leshev shall come to the aid of our ally in their time of need, and we shall put forward the coin with a small collateral for the aid that you are requesting. In the end, you will pay us back for the money that is spent upon the free folk, and I imagine that money, that cost will not be small. They will take advantage of this situation. We will not be charging you an interest for the aid that we are lending to you, so long as you pay forward forthright with what you owe us as quickly as is possible. Yes, details to be gone over later on. We will also raise our own army, not only for our defense, but also the defense of the region against this attacking nation of Haude Gwenh. Lastly, after Haude Gwenh comes to fall, we will all do our best to make sure that the people of Haude Gwenh are appropriately guided to have a fruitful future, both in morality and economy. They all stand up and they all stand up, and again it's like the whole thing went on for about like 4 hours.
Jesus Christ!
And I'm gonna immediately, once that's done, thank Arthur for his help and head the fuck off.
When you walk off, Arthur walks out with you, and it's like as soon as you walk out the door and the door shuts, he actually like turns to face towards you, and he gives you like a look at his face that's like it's almost solemn. You know what I mean? Look at his face as he just looks at you. It takes a couple moments before you realize there's actually a bit of awe there. And it's like silence for a couple seconds. Do you break the silence or no?
Do you believe your efforts are best set here, making sure this comes about, or back in Kurzfall? I need to leave immediately, but it's whether if you need to come now or not.
He shakes his head and says, I think I've just truly decided. And fully honestly, before I accepted the position and I appreciate it. I shouldn't say decided. I think I just realized that I do belong with you. That was genuinely one of the most impressive displays I've ever seen before that council ends their pig-headed stubbornness. You've convinced them to put forward every penny without interest and to aid the nation in every way possible and go above and beyond even those measures, and gave them an appropriate peace that we're going to be able to sway their sway in the future. Chosen, I am awed by what I just saw. Thank you for allowing me to partake in it.
And thank you for helping. I couldn't have done it without you.
He smiles, and as he kind of walks with you and says, I need a fucking drink. And then fade to black.
Yeah.
I'm excited for what we have for one next week. Sorry, Jake. I had to annoy you this week. I had to.
Give me a one-on-one fight any day. Fucking politics.
Oh no, no, the one-on-one fight is not that fun. Trust me.
I will take it. I will swap positions. You do this. I'll go fight.
Jake, I'm gonna have a little bit of fun with you next week. Don't you worry. I love you, boyo.
Is it gonna be the episode of $100 again?
No. Because we already know how you can get past 2 of those doors.
We're all kind of like in the wrong place for us. Really,
Yeah, we really fucking are.
We want Valrin to be in Haude Gwenh, where he can impact people, because that's what he does.
Yeah.
We want Wherein to be up in Lashev because he's happy with politics.
But he crushed it.
Yeah, he did crush it. He couldn't have got better.
Yep.
Like, you're definitely right. And we want one down on the battlefield.
Oh.
Well, either way, that was a lot of fun.
I will say I do kind of like that we're not in the right positions, and it's pushing us
Muddling
out of our
through.
normal. Yeah, we're managing it, even though we're like really trying like hard.
God, yeah, we are trying. I mean, like, every session now we're burning through so many luck die.
Oh yeah, we are so many.
Like we're at the point now where we can't actually fail this because the kingdom will die.
Oh yeah, that's
Like if you failed in there, the kingdom would have been.
Well, it's funny too,
real
because
guys.
I'm surprised nobody cursed any of the stuff you guys were working on. I was like, no
I was
curses?
It's because
terrified
we're
of that.
struggling right now. They like
We
watching
are
us
struggling.
suffer.
Yeah,
we're
they like the
suffering and struggling.
As soon as we
extra
start,
every session.
like as soon as things start going on an uphill, I gotta fix that.
Yeah.
So we're gonna say our goodbyes, and Tesh has to go to bed. He has to get up early. But I do want to share one small story from the Regicide campaign.
okay.
I just because I think Tesh would find this funny. So very quickly, more or less, there was a point in time not too long ago where a trump card was dropped right at like the perfect moment, and it would turn into this dire situation that, let's just say, things are okay, right? Don't want to give too many details. And then while they're like scouting out and just happen to find a group of a bunch of soldiers nearby, soldiers that are not friendly towards them, and I mean like vastly outnumbered, would easily be captured and killed and so on and so forth soldiers, all of a sudden Anno did this huge bit drop that was just enough for a trump card, and the whole party was like, run, get out of there, we narratively left, we're gone now, and it was just like this sudden panic of, we have to go before he gets to down, he has to click the trump card, go. And it was just like,
Oh no.
We
This, like,
know
crazy.
the feeling, Scott.
Yeah, when you see the big bit drop, you're like, I see, my time has come.
I have never,
It's like
that
moment in Lord of the
reaction.
Rings. You're like the breath before the storm.
It was like you had Messi there being like, go, and Rita like booking down the hallway, and one like slithering up behind. Not one. Feels like slick. Like, I'm out of here.
You see those bits drop, and you're just like, oh fuck.
It was. But I thought that meant that Otto was saving it because he didn't spend anything. That he was saving it for today. Looks like he didn't find his moment.
Well, we've had right in the campaign, we've had so many trump cards and curses, and we've had 2 fortunes favors.
Yep.
One to save Rena and one to save Rayron.
Correct.
Who? Oh my God, their
No,
names both
no,
begin
we've
with
had
R,
more.
same initials.
Technically, there was also one to help save the general.
So hold on. I have a question because we do have to do our outros because Tesh does have to go to sleep. When was the last time you guys leveled?
God knows.
Oh shit! Ages
Before
ago.
the war.
Yeah, a long
Before the
time ago.
war. I remember
We
nothing
level?
but
Do
war.
we level?
I
Sweet,
remember.
you can let us level.
Oh, we leveled. Oh, level 6 is such a huge.
Nice.
Know what I'm doing this evening?
Tesh, would you like to say your outro, sir?
So, hi, I'm Tesh of the Test Tube. You can find me under that name on YouTube, Twitch, and Twitter. Follow me on Twitter for cute animal gifts and all the things that I'm up to. Follow me on Twitch. if you like Monster Hunter. Now, I've been struggling to
you
stream
like
it because
low
Monster
FPS
Hunter is low FPS Monster Hunter. I've been struggling to stream it because Capcom did a shitty job porting, but they also have a lot of anti-cheat. But they are slowly fixing it, and I am still attempting to stream it with low FPS, and I'm loving the game. So join me if you like that, or if you like Temtem is one I'm going to hopefully be starting soon. Warframe,
Which is like a
all that jazz.
Pokemon-like.
Yeah, sorry, Temtem is like a Pokemon-like MMO game that just came out.
That sounds super cool. I'm gonna look that up.
Yeah, it's indie. It came out today. It had issues with server because it was an indie game that got super popular just before it released. yeah.
As is the way with good indie games.
Yeah.
How do you spell Temtem? Because I'm looking at a hammer. I mean, a bump.
Tem.
Oh, EM.
Not Tem.
Yeah.
I'm at like a drum, like a tom tom. All right. So, anyways, Neil, what are you up to?
Hey, I'm Neil. You can find me at Naghai on the Discord or at Naghai _ on Twitter. I retweet some things. And I like some things. Other than that, I do nothing interesting on Twitter. But you should join the Discord because we have many discussions in Kingmaker spoilers, Regicide spoilers, all of the things to do with Aurorum, and we even have more talk on top of that about random things. And I have it on good authority. There's going to be an image of Scott licking a censored thing coming up at some point in there, so stay tuned for that.
Are you streaming in an hour, sir?
No. So there's no Ollie stream tonight.
If you want to stick around after this, we can totally do level ups on stream. We can keep going.
Hells yeah, I'll do that.
We'll do that for like an hour. Cool. And then
sure.
Jake, anything you want to add on before we? Any special messages to your secret lover Naga or anything before we go?
They definitely hate fuck.
I will say, please don't trump us. Let us just finish the war. That would be great. Thanks.
Let us finish the wall. Don't trump us.
I mean that didn't sound pleading enough. I think you need to beg just a little bit more.
I'll beg. Please, I'm begging you, don't trump us.
We are so
See,
close.
that's what the game is doing today.
I was thinking, is Jake just gonna hold it, and then he broke. All right. So everybody, we're gonna go back live in a couple of minutes. I really have to pee, and I have to fix the overlay once he goes.
She's sitting there.
So give us like 5-ish minutes. All right. Bye.